Today, we're diving into one of history's most fascinating lost worlds, the Indus Valley Civilization. I mean, these people built these huge, incredibly advanced cities. They created some absolutely stunning art, but they left behind a secret that, even today, we just can't crack. And this right here, this is the heart of the puzzle. Just imagine that for a second. We can walk through the ruins of their cities, we can hold their art in our hands, but we have no idea what their writing says. It means everything we think we know about them is really just an educated guess, like we're trying to solve this giant, ancient puzzle with half the pieces missing. All right, so let's get into it. To really get a feel for the Indus Valley Civilization, or the IVC as you'll hear it called, we need to place them on the world map of their time. And trust me, they weren't just some isolated culture out in the middle of nowhere. No, they were a genuine powerhouse, standing shoulder to shoulder with the other great civilizations of the ancient world. So think back to around the 3rd millennium BC. This is when human civilization really starts to explode along these major river systems. You've got Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates, you've got Egypt along the Nile, ancient China on the Yellow River, and right there, thriving alongside them, was the Indus Valley Civilization, built on the banks of the mighty Indus River. Now here's where it gets really mind-boggling, the sheer scale of this place. The IVC wasn't just another one of the great civilizations, it was easily the largest of its time. We're talking about an area covering 850,000 square kilometers. It was bigger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia put together. And what's so wild is that for how huge it was, we know so little about them compared to those other empires. So if we can't read their writing, where do we even start looking for clues? Well, we start with what they left behind, the incredible ruins of their cities. And let me tell you, the way these cities were designed, their very layout, tells a story all on its own. You see, most Indus cities followed this amazingly organized plan. They were usually split into 2 main parts. You had the lower citadel, which is where most of the people lived and worked, and then you had the upper citadel, this raised, fortified area that was probably for the elite, the rulers, and for important public buildings. And the whole thing was often protected by a massive ditch. And this idea of a citadel was just genius. It wasn't just a wall to keep enemies out. It was this enormous raised platform, a brilliant piece of engineering designed for one primary purpose: to protect the city from the totally devastating annual floods of the Indus River. Pretty clever, right? But here's the cool part. They weren't all identical clones of each other. Archaeologists have found some really fascinating exceptions to the 2-part rule. Take the city of De La Viera, for example. It was actually divided into 3 parts, an upper, middle, and a lower town. And then you have Lothal, which was split into 6 different sections. This just shows you that there was all this regional variety and adaptation going on across their huge territory. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. We're going to look at one of the most famous structures ever found in the city of Mohenjo-Daro, the Great Bath. This thing is an absolute masterpiece of ancient engineering, and it gives us some incredible clues about their society. I mean, just look at this design. It is, for all intents and purposes, a modern swimming pool. You've got this large central pool, about 8 feet deep, with staircases leading down into it. It had this incredibly sophisticated water system with an inlet to bring fresh water in and a separate outlet to drain the used water out. And get this, all around the pool, there were these little rooms, or cubicles, that archaeologists are pretty sure were used as changing rooms. And the construction, oh, it's just remarkable. The whole thing was built with these perfectly fitted burnt bricks, which was a super advanced material for the time. And here's the kicker, not a single stone was used. Now, given how complex and well-built this was, the thinking is that the Great Bath wasn't just for taking a dip. It was almost certainly part of some very important religious or ritualistic practice. All right, so we've gone from the massive scale of the cities down to a single structure. Now let's zoom in even closer to the small, personal things they left behind. Because these artifacts, they give us a glimpse of the people themselves, the possible faces of this lost world. But as we look at these incredible faces, we have to keep one thing front and center in our minds. We are guessing. Everything we think we know is an inference, an interpretation, because without being able to read their words, we can never be 100% sure who these people really were. So our first suspect is this iconic little statue, often called the Priest King. It was found in Mohenjo-Daro, carved from steatite, and it shows this man with this incredibly detailed combed hair, a trimmed beard, and a patterned shawl draped over his shoulder. His calm, dignified look has led a lot of people to believe he was some kind of respected figure, maybe a priest or a community leader. And next up, we have this world-famous bronze statuette, also from Mohenjo-Daro. It's this nude female figure, and she's standing in this very relaxed, lifelike pose. It's actually a classic posture called Tribunga. And look at her left arm. It's just completely covered in bangles. The sheer confidence in her pose has sparked debates for decades. One popular theory is that she might represent a member of the Banjaro community who were known to be traitors. And finally, check this out. This tiny little seal packs some huge clues about their beliefs. It shows a figure with horns, seated in a pose that looks a lot like yoga, and he's surrounded by animals, an elephant, a tiger, a rhino, and a bull, with 2 deer right at his feet. This figure, often called Pashupati, or even Proto-Shiva, is a huge clue that they likely worshipped a central deity and had a deep reverence for nature. So, we've looked at the cities, the buildings, the art. After all that, what's the final verdict? Well, the truth is, the story of the Indus Valley is very much an unfinished one. We actually know a lot about their physical world, right? We know they were absolute geniuses at urban planning, that they were incredible artists, and that they were part of this huge trade network. But the really big questions, they're still a complete mystery. We don't know what language they spoke, we don't know who their kings or queens were, and we don't know why this massive, sophisticated civilization just faded away. And that's really the question that hangs over everything. Their cities were masterpieces. Their art can still take your breath away thousands of years later. So, where did they go? Why did they vanish? Was it a changing climate that dried up their rivers? Was it an invasion? We still don't have the answer. And that right there remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in all of human history.